Well, have we signed a future star for Los Blancos? I know it seems weird to be talking about another team, but it seems that Jefte is on the lips of a number of people talking up this Brazilian star that we have just secured from Apoel Nicosia via Fluminense, obviously his parent club. Now, we are going to touch on that in this video this morning. We're going to touch obviously as well later on today, talking about possible Scottish players, young Scottish talent that we should be looking at. We did obviously feature Lennon Miller and Conor Barron yesterday. We'll be looking at another young up-and-coming Scottish talent that Rangers, I think, should be targeting in this summer transfer rebuild. Now, it appears to me that the focus of this summer rebuild, at least at the start of it, is very much towards restructuring the defence. And I think, given the fact that the defence sort of looked increasingly more dodgy as the season went on, I think it's absolutely correct that the club are targeting defenders. I think we need a right back, to replace Tav. I think we need two centre backs as well. I think if we can get two centre backs in with Balogun, Davis, and King as backups, that will be more than enough strength in depth in that position. Left back, obviously, we've signed Jefte, we have Ridvan, we have, of course, got Robbie Fraser as well. It obviously remains to be seen whether Robbie signs a new deal. We hopefully can get Robbie signed to a new contract also. So, look, the situation we're in, we're going to look at, obviously, the left back situation because that is where we've made our first signing at the moment. We'll talk about central defenders. Cordoba's gone. He's going to go probably to Norwich, silly man. Talk of Gadalmes, there's others, I'm sure other names will emerge. But the only signing we've made so far is, of course, the signing of Jefte, Brazilian left back Jefte. He is a young player. He is someone who is still very much learning the game. So I think, it's difficult to say, for a fact that he is, a very good player or he is a very poor player. You can't assess him as of yet. That is just not possible. So, look, he's arrived. He was obviously talked about in January, but that move could not go through due to the complications around his loan at Apoel Nicosia. He is only 20 years old, so he's still very much learning the game. And there's just something exciting, isn't there, about a Brazilian left back? Talking about obviously Roberto Carlos being one of them, obviously the primary candidate. But Brazilian fullbacks, full stop. Cafu and Dani Alves of recent times, all outstanding attacking talents. You never really equate defending though with Brazilian fullbacks or Brazilian defenders, in particular. I mean, you look at like the likes of David Luiz, for example. Very good at distributing the ball, very good at carrying the ball out from the back, not so great at defending. The Brazilian football is not really founded on strong defense, is it? It's founded on attack, and that's very much where Jefte comes from. He is very much an attacking fullback. Someone who is going to, really take the fight to the opposition. And I think, at times in this league that we play in, that's what we need. We don't really need a lot of players sitting back and defending. And when you're playing against the likes of, Hearts and Hibs, and you're playing obviously St Johnstone and Ross County and teams like that, you don't need a substantial number of defenders, behind the ball. You need a more attacking, forceful, going, side that's going to take the game to the opposition, play the ball quickly, have width, use varied points of attack. That's what you need against teams like that because they park the bus. They sit 10 players behind the ball. They play for that draw. They're quite happy to frustrate, quite happy to sort of spoil and ruin the game as much as possible. And obviously, as we know, Jefte joins his Brazilian compatriot, Dio, who obviously we all hope will be more involved this coming season. Obviously, very unlucky with injuries in his first season, the fractured cheekbone and obviously the ACL injury. All again, not his fault. These are not injuries that are sustained by muscle wear and tear. These are impact injuries that he has sustained, injuries from hammer throwers taking him out. But it's good that that Jefte has a Brazilian as well. You often find there's two or three of them. They do sort of settle a whole lot better and become part of that whole squad. And Digne will help obviously him settle in to Rangers. Now, one of the players who has been talking about Jefte is a teammate from Apoel Nicosia, someone you may recognise, Dalcio, who played for us as well. Now, he has been talking about Jefte, talking about what Jefte brings to the party, what sort of player he is, and has really, talked up the Brazilian. Now, I know that, he's going to do that to some extent, but, if you look at some of the analysis that's been done by others, around the leagues, I haven't really sat in a massive amount of analysis on Jefte. I really genuinely haven't had time trying to work 45, 50 hours a week in my normal job and do this. until I can actually do this full time, it's it's quite difficult to do. But he seems exceptionally good going forward. He has the skill of a left winger. He's got the ability to go past people. He's got the ability to use his speed or his skill to get past them. His final ball delivery is excellent. He can get to the byline, pull a ball back. He's got a shot on him as well. He very much is in that Brazilian mold of an attacking fullback. I think perhaps he's more a wing back, maybe. I don't know. But, he can also play left wing as well. So, he's someone who does bring a lot of promise and talent. His defensive skills are not as good as his attacking skills. He's a bit James Tavernier from that example. But, I'm sure that's something he can work on, whereas, well, I'm not going to talk about Tav in this video. Whereas Jefte is 20 years old, he can still be coached, he can still be developed, he can still be improved on that side of the game. And if we have still got Ridvan here next year, Ridvan and Jefte, you've got two very good fullbacks there. And obviously Ridvan will be probably the primary starter and Jefte will be rotated in and out. We've seen Clement's desire to rotate, and he's talked about the need when you're playing 50, 60 games a season, fighting on four fronts, to have pretty much two players for every position. Now, what did Dalcio talk about when he talked about Jefte? This is what he said to Sunday Mason. Jefte is a very good player, really offensive. He'll bring speed and goals to Rangers. And he's young, so he'll learn, which is what we were saying. He'll get better, he'll develop. He's still developing, and Rangers can bring out the best of him. He will improve at Ibrox. He's a good player now, but has so much potential to get better. He came to Apoel as a young player and was thrown straight into the top league. So, he was still a young developmental prospect when he joined Apoel Nicosia, and he's put at least get a season of, first team football into his legs, a season of first team skill into his legs, first team ability, just general first team practice. I know the Cypriot League is different to the Scottish League. Get that, Scottish League, very physical, very in your face, something he's going to have to get used to. But, if Ridvan's still here, if we have Robbie Fraser as well, there is time for him to adapt, time for him to come in and start to hit the ground, obviously, and then get running and get up and going with his Rangers career. And I'm sure, as Dalcio says here, this is a player who can develop, can get better, can be a whole lot more than he presently is. And again, he is a player that obviously Coppen has identified as fitting that trading model, a player we can improve, a player we can get better, and then a player we can then flip for a lot of cash in the future, especially considering we've paid, I think somewhere it's a region of less than £1 million for this boy. He went on to say, first 3 or 4 months, it was difficult for him as he adapted, but after that, he was an amazing left back for us. Rangers aren't paying a lot of money for Jefte now, but in the future, he can be anything he wants to be, especially depends on Jefte himself. If he works hard and wants it, and everyone said this about him at Apoel, he could play for Real Madrid in the future. And certainly, great words, especially considering obviously they've just won their 15th Champions League, and Real Madrid are widely regarded as probably one of the greatest teams in world football, or the greatest team in world football in terms of trophies won and the standard of those trophies. That's the potential he has. I'm sure you'll see that in Scotland. He's too fast. It's unbelievable. He has a really good left foot, and he likes to take corners and free kicks. Oh, good. He'll fit right in with us because, as we know, it's only fullbacks that can take corners and free kicks at Rangers. He's just like Tavernier at Rangers now. Jefte likes to get into the box and score even from left back. So he's clearly very offensively minded. He's very fast. He's quick. And I think, one of the things this team is badly missing is speed. We've said that, I think, towards the end of the season, when Seaman was out injured, with Cortez out injured, we really did lack pace up there. Dessers is not very quick. Cantwell is not exactly lightning. McCausland isn't. Sterling isn't. Silver isn't. These are not players who have lightning speed. Matondo, I suppose, does, but, we didn't have anyone, and Jefte brings that speed. He went on to say this. He said, I've told him he must learn more about the defensive side of the game, and he'll need that because the Scottish League is strong. You have to be focused there to defend as well as attack. And I think in terms of strong, he means in terms of the players kicking lumps out of you. I don't think the Scottish League is particularly strong, as we know, but be below us and Hearts, below us, Celtic and Hearts to some degree. Although I think, the new manager at Aberdeen will have them fighting hard and they keep hold of their players. You never know. But look, at the end of the day, we know it's going to come down to between us and them. And I think he's going at this from the aspect you've got to get a physicality to your game. You've got to get a real roughness, toughness to your game to be a defender in Scotland. And that's something that Jefte will need to develop. But certainly promising words about this young man, that he can go on to be a real superstar for our club. Well, guys, let me know what you think of this story about Jefte. Personally, I'm really excited to see him play. I hope that he is the first of many new signings. So look, let's just enjoy these players coming in, enjoy the new players coming in. Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding, then the pudding in the eating, and whatever the hell the saying is again. Once these players get up and running, once these players get in on the pitch. And I suppose the encouraging thing about Jefte is he signed early in the transfer window. It gives him time to come in, to start to adapt, to start to learn, start to play alongside his teammates. Once pre-season starts, you have a full pre-season with the squad. It's all very positive, in terms of this first signing that we talked about previously when he did sign. But I want to give you a bit more on him and talk about this. Obviously, the story that's come up today about him being a potential Los Blancos of the future. And look, I really do hope that he does go on to sign for Real Madrid from Rangers for 15, 20, 25 million pounds, because if he does, that means number one, he's done really well for us and we've probably been successful and won things. And number two, it raises us a shit ton of money that we can use to strengthen the squad further. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Please smash that sub, help the channel to keep on growing. We'll be back later with some more videos today, guys. I'm trying to break it down to slightly smaller videos today. On the way out, two things I always ask of you. Number one, smash that like. It defeats that evil algorithm. And number two, remember always, we are the people.